Hello, everyone. Welcome to this practical guide for SharePoint and Microsoft Teams integrations. I hope you are having a fantastic day. And without further ado, let's get started. This session will have 40 minutes. I have a few demos prepared, and I will be monitoring the Q&A during the session. So if you have any question, please make it in the live event Q&A. And if I don't reply it immediately, then I will answer all the questions once the session is over. And you can also reach me after the session through my social media. So let's get this started. Let me introduce myself first. My name is João Ferreira. I'm from Portugal, and I'm currently working as a team lead, as a tech lead at Busy. I'm a Microsoft MVP on Office development, and this year I wrote a book about Microsoft Teams. It's called Hands on Teams, and this is the cover. And I'm also the author of 3 blogs, and this slide is a bit outdated. I'm the author of Hands on SharePoint, Hands on Teams, and recently I've started the blog Hands on Lists, and on my free time, I'm also a runner. If you want to get in touch with me, you can do it after the session through using the email or LinkedIn or Twitter, and I will be happy to engage with all of you. So for today's session, I will start by giving you a quick overview about what Microsoft Teams is, just in case if we have someone in the session that is not yet particularly familiar with Teams. I will explain you how to extend Teams using SharePoint, and I will explain you how to extend SharePoint using Teams. But this part here, it's just a small area of this presentation. So what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork on Office 365. This application had a huge growth during the pandemic. I did a similar session to this one back in February, and the numbers about the usage were around 20 million daily active users. And since February to this day, and the numbers were showcased once more last week during Ignite, it had a huge growth and is the fastest growing business app ever made. It grows even faster than Windows ever did. So it's the right place to be right now. It's the place that will make everyone more productive. And even for developers or for power users, this is a great application that will allow you to create new stuff, things that you always wanted to implement, but you didn't have the resources or the time. Now, everything is just a few clicks away with Microsoft Teams. So this is a funny video that I had here prepared. I don't know if you will hear the audio, but this is Steve Ballmer. This is Steve Ballmer a few years ago, screaming developers, developers, developers in one of the Microsoft conferences. Now I could easily picture Satya screaming Teams, 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 if Satya had the same profile that Ballmer has. So Teams has more than 75 million daily active users. This is huge. This is tremendously huge. And there's a lot of people relying exclusively on Teams now that most of the world is working from home. So with this being said, and with this short introduction about Microsoft Teams, I would like to start. Let me reply to this question here. This is just a sound check. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat, in the Q&A. All right, there's a delay on the live event, so all right, I'm assuming that people can hear me. All right, so let's proceed and let's start by talking about the out-of-the-box integration. So Teams is a great application, and it touches a lot of the platforms that already exist in the Microsoft ecosystem, and SharePoint is one of them. Teams uses a lot of the infrastructure that is used by SharePoint as well. So I will start by telling you what are the common ground between Teams and SharePoint. So the platform architecture. Teams uses a lot of the architecture that is used by SharePoint, not exclusively SharePoint. There's Exchange, there's Stream, there's a lot of other platforms that are used by Microsoft Teams and the multiple features that it includes. But I would say the core of the features that we will see here today work on top of SharePoint. It allows you to do endless integrations. Files that are stored in SharePoint can be easily displayed on Teams News. You can create rich landing pages, and SharePoint lists just became Microsoft lists, and they are easily accessible inside of Microsoft Teams, providing the rich experience that exists not just on SharePoint, but also on the new Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Lists app, including all the custom views that you build for your app, as we will see in a minute. So brand new is this SharePoint home site, and this is something that I don't have yet here prepared today to show you in the demo. This is something that was displayed last week for the first time in the Microsoft Ignite, and this is basically your SharePoint intranet inside of Microsoft Teams. So if you are living inside of Microsoft Teams, your intranet will live along with you inside of Microsoft Teams. And despite being in SharePoint, it will render seamlessly integrated inside of Teams. But this is just a sneak peek. We will have to wait until 2021 to get our hands on this. Today, I will focus on what you can do today. Before we jump into the demos, let me quickly explain you the architecture of Teams in terms of the structure. So Teams has several teams inside of it. Each team has channels, and each channel can have one or multiple tabs. So we can resume the Teams architecture to this Russian dolls. All right, so Teams and SharePoint architecture. So let's start to look into what corresponds to Teams and SharePoint once you start creating teams. Let's focus here on the teams with standard channels first. So each team that you create on Microsoft Teams will create a site collection on SharePoint automatically. And you will see that the name of your team will be the name of your site collection if it isn't taken yet. So then for each channel that you create, inside of the default SharePoint document library, you will end up with a folder for each one of the channels. So what you see visually on Teams as a physical representation inside of SharePoint. Last year, or in the beginning of this year, Microsoft introduced the private channels, and private channels are channels that you can decide who are the users that belong to the team that have access to them. And this has created a security issue to this structure. So the solution that Microsoft came with was, instead of getting a single site collection with folders for each one of the channels, each private channel corresponds to another site collection inside of SharePoint. So if you are living only on Teams, you will never notice this. The experience will be built inside of Teams and you will get access, but physically, your files will be stored in a separate site collection, and this site collection will manage the permissions for the private channel. The URL to the site collection will be the name of your team, and it will be concatenated with the name of your channel. So this is the structure of Teams, and this is a representation of what corresponds the structure of Teams inside of SharePoint. All right. Working with files. This is our first demo inside of Microsoft Teams. And to do that, I will jump here quickly into the browser where I have my demo tenant already open. And I will quickly explain you how you can bring files to from SharePoint to Teams. So files by default are the second tab of your channel. It doesn't matter what channel do you open, you will always have a files tab. And this tab here, instead of showing you all the folders that exist in the root document library, you will go directly to the folder of this channel. So what if you want to bring other document libraries, or what if you want to navigate to the structure of other files, of other channels from here? Well, SharePoint has its own document library app inside of Microsoft Teams. And once you click here, this will automatically get a list of the relevant sites for you. These are typically the latest sites that you visit. Or if you want to go to another library, you can paste the URL directly in here. So let me go here and let me open this library on SharePoint. So as you can see, this is my share documents, and I will navigate back to here, and now I will copy this link. And instead of getting just access to this folder, what I want to do is see the entire library. So I paste the link, click on next. You can decide here what documents do you see. You can decide what you will see, what this will do once it's posted. You can decide if it's posted to notify other users that this was added to the channel or not. All right, you can provide a name to the tab. So let's documents, and let's or document, whatever, it exists already. So let's hit the save. So as you can see, the visual experience is a bit different. So let me drag this to here. This does not adjust to the theme of your team. So if you have the default theme, or if you have the dark, the background of it on this page will be always white, but it gives you access to more components. So this is how it looks with a native files integration, this is how it looks with the files app. All right. So moving forward, the next thing that I want to talk about is how to build rich landing pages. So we've seen our own, we've seen the screenshot of the OHM app for Teams that is that was showcased last week in Ignite. So now I will show you how you can build rich landing pages for your site. And on SharePoint, you are able to create rich landing pages and rich pages using multiple web parts and combining multiple web parts, and you are able to build your own layout. Please notice that everything that I'm showing here for the landing pages, it's not exclusive to modern SharePoint, but the best experience that you get will be with modern SharePoint. If you are still using publishing sites or classic theme sites, I recommend you to build stuff like this using modern exclusively. So here I have a few web parts. I have 2 columns layout, and I want to make this as the home page of my channel. So the only thing I have to do is in reality go back to Teams, and from here I will use another app that comes out of the box with Microsoft Teams. So when I select SharePoint, this gets me the documents or pages, wherever was latest viewed by me. It's displayed here. This app changed quite a lot since the beginning of this year, so Microsoft continues to add more stuff. So from here you can get not just the pages as it used to be, but you can now also get lists and document libraries. I don't know what will happen with the specific document library app in the future, but I would say that it will probably disappear and everything will be condensed inside of this app. So this allows you to get pages from the site collection where you are located, the team where you are located. It detects it immediately and displays it here, or you can go further and get it from any other site that you would like to. If you have already a home site or a landing page that you would like to embed here, go ahead, get the link and paste it in here. You need to be aware of the permissions for the page because this app will not take that into consideration. If you get a page from a site collection that the users that exist in this team don't have access to, they will not see anything when they click on the page tab. So for this, I will go ahead and click in the home, and this adds the tab automatically. As you can see, it does not change the background of the page. It will not adjust to the theme. It will always be white. But what it did compared with SharePoint is that we no longer have the menu and the header and the suit bar. So all of this is immediately removed from the environment. Okay, so what if you still have things in Classic, or if you have a hybrid environment and you want to bring stuff from publishing to SharePoint? That can be also achieved. So instead of using this, and I have here a Classic publishing site just for demo purposes, you will have to, probably you would click on any SharePoint site. Well, this is no longer a supported scenario by Microsoft. So if you click on save, you will end up with this error. So Microsoft is trying to move you away from Classic and to embrace modern. But I know there are scenarios where there are environments that are not exclusively yet in modern, and there are stuff that in Classic that is still relevant for the organization. So you can still bring Classic stuff to the team. Instead of using the SharePoint app, you will have to use the website app. So this is the app that will allow you to bring the publishing site. So let me, or any other classic site. But here you will have to take into consideration that whatever you have in the page will be rendered inside of the theme as it is. So you will end up with a suit bar, or you will end up with the controls to edit menus. So the page does not adjust to the theme. So it's possible, yes, but if you have the opportunity to migrate it to modern, that's where you will get the best experience inside of Microsoft Teams. All right, so moving forward, data, SharePoint lists and Microsoft lists. Any of this thing is left out of Microsoft Teams. We've seen already that the SharePoint app has the list, but since a few weeks now we have the Lists app. Lists is a separate application inside of the Microsoft ecosystem, but in reality, it uses SharePoint and OneDrive. Sorry for this Skype message popping up. So from here, what we can do is create a new list or add an existing list. And this will get you the lists from SharePoint or from lists. So in lists, you can have personal lists that are stored on your one site. Let me just exit the Skype. All right, sorry. All right, so here you can have access to your favorite lists, to your last modified lists. You can create new lists. You can access the personal list or to other lists that you have in SharePoint. So I have here this Cartlet list from SharePoint. And as you can see, the list in SharePoint now is displayed using the modern interface that you will see in SharePoint inside of your Microsoft Teams environment. The good thing about this is that if you have used custom formatting to format your views, as I did here to create the styles view, you will be able to render your lists using the formatting that you have applied inside of your list. And most importantly, you will be able to save this as a default view, even inside of Microsoft Teams. So whenever you open the list inside of Teams, you will get immediately the list in the format that you've made in SharePoint using JSON. If you are not familiar with JSON, I will not cover it in here. Sorry, we don't have time for it. But this formatting is very well explained in the PNP GitHub repo. There's a ton of examples there. You will find this example there as well. So this is a great way for you to build, let's say, apps or web parts using JSON only based on the content you have on lists as well. So this works now with lists and SharePoint. And if you ask me what to use, I would recommend you to use the lists app. So lists is receiving a lot of love from Microsoft. It will get a lot of new features, including a modern calendar view in a new feature. So you will be able to bring all of that to SharePoint, to Teams from SharePoint or from lists inside of your Teams as well. Okay, so extending Microsoft Teams beyond the out-of-the-box integrations. Let's see how this works. We have three different ways of extending Microsoft Teams. We have the App Store, that is a no-code solution, and it gives you other functionalities other than the out of the box in no time. You just need to go to the app store, and if you have permissions, install wherever it's there. Then we have the App Studio and templates. This is a low-code solution. In here, you also have the Power Platform, and then you have the apps from scratch. This will require you to develop code and build apps using SharePoint framework or Teams SDK or something like that to use or to extend your teams. So no-code solutions, personal apps, bots, tabs, connectors, and messaging extensions. All of that is available inside of the App Store in Teams. There are more and more apps becoming available to the App Store. So if you are looking to solve a specific problem or to cover a specific scenario in your organization, before jumping into developing your own solution, why not having a look into the App Store, seeing if someone else already solved the problem for you. Low-code solutions, the entire Power Platform, app templates built from Microsoft. Those are solutions available on GitHub. I will not cover those as well in the session, but if you look for on Google for app templates for Microsoft Teams, you will end up finding a lot of pre-built scenarios that you can install on your Teams as well. And then the App Studio that allows you to build Teams apps inside of Teams. And let's start with the low-code solutions, or let's start with the App Studio directly. So this App Studio, it's an app that exists by default inside of Teams. And from here, you are able to create your own apps. This app, however, if you will use it to create apps for Teams, Teams inside Teams, or for create personal apps, you have to take into consideration that SharePoint will not do the authentication automatically if you open the app inside of the desktop application for Teams. If you will use Teams exclusively on the browser, you have absolutely no issue, but the mobile app and the desktop app in any operating system will not do the authentication automatically. And I will show you exactly what I mean with this. So this is the App Studio. Inside of the manifest editor, you have this form. This is pretty straightforward. It asks you for the names, for the IDs, for the descriptions, logos. So it has a description, so you will have no issue at all building this. And then when you jump to step number 2, you have the possibility to start configuring tabs, bots, connectors, or messaging extensions. So here I will focus only on the personal tabs, are the easiest ones to use. Team tabs require you to build a configuration window. It's somewhat more difficult to use, but these ones are pretty straightforward. So you can grab wherever page you want to display as a personal app and display it inside of Microsoft Teams. And personal apps, if you are not familiar with them, are the apps that are displayed in this vertical menu or inside of here. So in here, I have the White10 app, that it's a personal app that was exclusively built using the App Studio. But going back to the authentication issue, I have here 2 pages. I will not be able to demonstrate the problem that exists, but because I'm in the browser and I'm using the desktop app to do this live event. But here I have the app, the SharePoint with the happy smile and with the sad smile, and this one is the one that will do the authentication automatically. This one will, most of the times, will not display anything if the user goes straight to the personal app. So let's start with this one. The typical thing that you probably will do when you create a tab is paste the URL to the page that you want to display inside of the app, and there's nothing wrong with it. So in theory, the content URL, it's the URL that it's displayed inside of Teams, and then the website URL, it's the URL that it's displayed when you click on the globe icon outside of Teams. So this, unfortunately, will not do the authentication on SharePoint if the user is not yet authenticated. If the user has visited a page using the SharePoint app or using the documents, then the authentication and the cookie will be shared and it will work. But if not, it will not display anything. So to get it to work 100% of the times, you will have to do this. You will have to point to this Teams logon ASPX page, SPFX true, destination equals to the page that you want to use. And this will handle the authentication automatically. It will be a silent sign-in, and the user will not see anything, and it will be automatically authenticated. I don't have it here, but I have an article on my hands-on Teams blog that explains this step by step. And then if you go here to domains and permissions, you will have to whitelist all the domains that you want to display in your app. You can do it this way by whitelisting the SharePoint domain with an asterisk, but this will trigger a warning when you package the application. Alternatively, I recommend you to do it this way. Put the full URL to your tenant, unless you want to distribute this to multiple tenants. Use this one instead of using the wildcard. Even though it is supported, it will trigger a warning. You will also have to use this specific ID. All of this comes from the SharePoint framework solution that works inside of Teams as well. So this is 100% supported by Microsoft. It's not built in by default in the application, but it works without any issue here. So and then the URL for the optional single sign-on. To package this and to install it, you can do it by downloading it from here or clicking the install, and it will immediately install it in your environment for you. So I should have it here. The app is called PNP, and I have here my 2 pages. You will not see any difference here, but what these pages do is in reality the same thing. One goes through the authentication process, the other doesn't, but you don't notice anything because they render exactly with the same speed. So we have 7 minutes left. So I want to show you a few other things, and I want to show you how you can go a bit further and extend still Teams using SharePoint things, but this time we will move away from what exists inside of the visual applications and we will go to the code. So now we will see how to extend Teams using the SharePoint framework. I don't have time to extensively cover this, but here I have a web part that I built using SharePoint framework. This is a web part that displays a playlist inside, a video playlist inside of SharePoint, and I want to reuse it on Microsoft Teams as well. So if you are building this using SharePoint framework, I think it's SharePoint framework 1.10. I think it started there. The only thing you have to do to support, to get an app for Teams and for SharePoint at the same time with a single source code is to then go to the manifest JSON inside of your source folder. And in the supported hosts, you will have to add SharePoint web part and Teams app. Then when you, and sorry if you are not familiar with this development thing, then when you do your gulp bundle your package solution in the file system, you will end up with two different folders. So on the SharePoint folder, you will end up with the SPPK J file. This is mandatory. This will have to be installed on SharePoint first in order then to work on Teams. And then here you will end up with a Teams folder containing three files, the logos and the manifest. And if I open this manifest file, this will have exactly what I've showed you in the manifest configuration tool inside of the App Studio. So there's the Teams logon, the SPFX true with the destination, and here are the wildcard domains, the ID for the web application. So everything is here as I've shown you on the App Studio, and this is how things are handled from the Microsoft side as well to handle the authentication. If you ask me if this is the correct way of doing it in the App Studio, I would say that Microsoft should have that figured out automatically without us to necessarily have to put this ID and the Teams logon to get the application automatically authenticated. But it is what it is. So I have the app here. I think we are almost on top of the hour, and I have still one more demo to do. I have here the app to show you somewhere in pages, I believe. Videos, I think it's this one. So this is the web part that I've built. So there's a SharePoint list behind it, and it is rendering the videos from YouTube inside of the web part. And the same thing is also available here in Teams because I've installed it in Teams and in SharePoint. So if I go here and search for videos, all right, something went wrong. It always happens during the demos, but whatever. This is the app, and if it wasn't for this error message, we would be able to see it here running. Okay, so one last thing that I would like to mention is that every SharePoint app is a Teams app, and the vice versa, it's also true. So every Teams app is also a Microsoft SharePoint app. So if you have someone building an app, a dedicated app for you for Teams, and I gave a quick example here with this to the app. So if I type here something, this is an app with shared to-dos specifically built for Teams. This can be also used inside of SharePoint. So the same zip file can be uploaded here to the app catalog inside of SharePoint, and you will be extending this time SharePoint using the components that were built specifically for Teams. And if you are familiar with the app catalog, this is the place where you upload your SPPKG files. But if you look here, there's a to-do file with a different icon, with a zip icon. And this was the only thing that I've uploaded here. This was deployed to SharePoint. And if I go here to the home page of this site, I have the same app, the Teams app. It's being rendered here. It's probably a scenario that it's not well known as the Teams app, the SharePoint app in Teams, but if you've had someone building you a custom app for Teams, you can also use it inside of SharePoint. All right, so if you ask me what is the best way of doing this, I would say 100% of the times that building apps for SharePoint and then reusing those on Teams is always a better thing. And I have here a top 10 list of why SharePoint framework apps are better to use on Microsoft Teams. So Teams apps require you to manually host your app on Azure, outside of Azure, whatever. You have to handle that. You have to host your app and you have to pay for the hosting. Here you will get for free the hosting, you will get for free the CDN. So your app will render a lot faster because Microsoft bundles all of that inside of the SharePoint framework applications. The same code you write for SharePoint framework works in Teams, and the framework has two separate contexts. So you will have access to the SharePoint context or to the Teams context. So the app will know exactly where it's being rendered. The single sign-on, it's built in. So the problem that I mentioned before about the authentication when you use the application built manually using the XML doesn't exist. It's built by default here. The configuration page is also handled by SharePoint. We haven't seen it in this session, but this is handled here. Data, it's stored in the Office 365 group, and there's a few other things. I'm skipping them because we are on top of the hour and I don't want to take you much more time. You will be able to manage apps centrally in the SharePoint Admin Center for Teams and for SharePoint. And I need to go back to the to that app catalog to show you how you deploy this inside of Teams. And the last topic, it's one of the most important to me, it's the SharePoint community. So if you go to the PNP community or to the GitHub repositories, or if you ask something about SharePoint on Twitter, I'm sure someone from this community will help you out. Or if someone from this community knows someone that can help you, they will point you in the right direction. But just to show you one thing that I forgot here, if I go here to the videos and if I select this application that was built for Teams and for SharePoint, or it's not this one, but well, it doesn't matter. We are on top of the hour, and what I want to mention is that when your app is built for Teams and SharePoint, when you select it, you will not get just this option, the deploy option enabled. You will also get the sync to Teams. And when you click on the sync to Teams, the app is installed also in Teams and becomes available in Teams as well. So this is how you install an app that was built for SharePoint for SharePoint specifically, but with support for Teams. This is how you install it in Teams from here. Alternatively, you can bundle these files into a zip, and you can install them inside of Teams as a zip through the store. All right, so thank you for attending the session. Please provide feedback about the session, about the event. These are the QR codes that will give you access to the feedback forms. Thanks to the sponsors that made this event possible. And once again, here you have my contacts. If you have any question about the session, I see we have here 3 new questions. I will try to reply them here. But if you have any other question after the session, or if you remind something that you would like to discuss, send me an email or reach me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I will help you with whatever question you have. All right, guys, thank you for watching this. Have a good day, and bye-bye.